The Maryland Made podcast provides timely, relevant, and practical information to empower student athletes to explore their potentials and pursue their passions. We facilitate an inclusive environment for student athletes to refine their leadership, explore professional possibilities, and enact change in their communities. On today's episode, we have Jayla Bynum from Women's Track and Field and Anthony Bradley from Wrestling. So last week was Body Acceptance Week, which is an exciting initiative promoting body acceptance, including body positivity, body neutrality, and body liberation for all. Today, we will be taking a look into what body positivity is and how those feelings can impact your sport and day-to-day life. Both these student athletes will share their thoughts and perspectives coming from two different sports and to encourage more student athletes to seek resources if needed. I want to provide a trigger warning as this conversation may include topics such as disordered eating habits and body image. All right, y'all. So before we dive in, let's get a little introduction from each of you. So you can just tell me about yourself and why you chose to come to UMD. Anthony, let's start with you.
So my name is Anthony. I'm a sophomore from Paw Paw, Michigan. I'm on the wrestling team, and I decided to come to Maryland just because it was really far from Michigan, and I wanted to see something new, like on the East Coast. And the academics here are amazing, and Big Ten wrestling is pretty much the pinnacle of college wrestling. So that's why I chose Maryland.
Awesome, Jayla. Let's hear about your story.
Hey everyone, my name is Jayla. I'm a fifth year student athlete. I am originally from Hutchinson, Kansas, and I am actually a transfer. I'm going into my second year here, and I chose to come to Maryland to step into one of the best conferences in the nation to challenge myself not only in the classroom, but on the track and just experience kind of a different atmosphere to kind of help me fall back in love with track again.
Y'all are all from different places. I love whenever I'm like, because I'm from part two. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm glad you both have made it here, and then I've been able to connect with the both of you. So thank you for that introduction. So we're just gonna go ahead and dive into what Body Acceptance Week is, and then bring awareness, and then also talk about some societal factors before we go into a little bit more personal topics. So as I mentioned earlier, last week was National Body Acceptance Week. And a week meant to bring awareness to body acceptance at any size, shape, and age. So we're going to start talking about some societal factors. So either of you can answer at either point during these questions. But to start, what are some societal factors associated with your sport that might influence a student athlete and how they view themselves?
For me personally, when people think of track, they instantly think of just on the track. But the reality of track and field is that we encompass a lot of different bodies, a lot of different people and where they come from. So I think track and field out of all the sports is like the one place where if you want to find it, you can see it. And I just think it plays a big part into like how we see each other and kind of how we understand track and field as a whole.
For me, I'd say wrestling is like one of the biggest parts of wrestling is the weight cutting. Like when someone finds out I'm a wrestler, they ask, "Oh, how do you deal with the weight cutting?" And a lot of people associate wrestling with like saunas and like not eating at all and like eating disorders. So like people assume like all wrestlers are either like super jacked or like have eating disorders or like body dysmorphia.
That's so interesting because I'm not super familiar with wrestling because I'm where I'm from, it's not super popular down south. So it's really interesting to just learn about all of the different things that go into the sport and things that you have to, go through and consider. So thank you both for sharing those societal factors that for your sport specifically that could affect, like you were saying, some body dysmorphia and stuff like that. So just a quick question. Do y'all think that social media has influenced your perception of how you or how everyone, I guess, views beauty standards?
For me personally, I think it plays a really big role in it, specifically for track and field. When everybody thinks of track and field, they think of a runner and they think of a certain body type. So just being on social media, even as a young athlete, my teammates and I would be like, oh, we want to look like this runner or this runner, but we never kind of encompassed of like how it coincides into the whole picture of things because the track runner, what everybody thinks about is kind of what society views as beautiful. So I feel like it has played a big part in kind of how we see ourselves, see each other, what we expect out of ourselves, and navigating that as an athlete who may not be in the traditional role of a sprinter.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like social media like only like highlights the people who look like ideal or like almost like model-esque. So most people will compare themselves to that, and if they don't like look like that or better of like to their standards, it'll lower their self-confidence and make them feel worse about themselves.
Yeah, yeah, you both. I mean, I agree with the both of you. I think especially in today's society, there's like editing and filters and posing. So I feel like there's a lot of misinformation and misconceptions about like how someone actually looks versus like what they might post to promote. And especially being at a young age, seeing those things can give like false realities of what you are looking to look like when in reality, no one really looks like that. So I can see how you both can see like in our society now, how social media is just so big that it can play a huge part in perception. So Jayla, I remember seeing a little snippet of you sharing about body positivity on your story. So why do you feel like it's important to use your platform to advocate for body positivity?
For me personally, I'm a big advocate for being the person I needed growing up. And I've had my experiences with disordered eating and I losing weight crazily to fit a certain body image that I thought that I needed. So for me, even if I reach one person, two people using my platform as an athlete, going back into my community and talking with younger athletes, just to know that your athleticism and your success being an athlete isn't defined by what you look like. If I feel like if I would have learned that from like a younger age, I would have not necessarily skipped that part, but I would have been able to navigate that part, those pressures of feeling like I needed to change myself. So me using my platform is very crucial because I'm very big on giving back. So if I can give back to the next generation and be somebody who can positively speak about myself and my experience, I feel like no matter if I reach one person or 100, like I feel like I find gratitude a lot in that.
I could cry. That was so beautiful because it's like you're so right. Like that is so amazing. Like wanting to be the person that you would have wanted to look up to. That like I love that you're taking that responsibility for yourself to say that like more so like the next portion we're gonna talk to like advice towards our younger self. So I love that you've taken something not necessarily so positive and completely turned it around and you're being able to do that. So I'm very proud of you and I'm happy to always so happy to see you be in a positive light. So we're gonna go into a section called advice to your younger self. So Anthony, we're gonna start to you. And so we're sharing this part because when you feel understood, not judged, it allows us to be more vulnerable and feel more comfortable to share our struggles and ask for help when needed. So, what advice would you give your younger self who may have struggled with prioritizing body acceptance?
Um, I would say probably to focus more on performance rather than like what I look like. Like especially when like I compete, I felt like when I was younger, I cared more about what I'd look like on camera rather than like what I would do like on the mat or in any like competitive setting, which would lead to like worse performance. So I'd say just focus on like what I know and rather than what I look like, because it'll be better for like my mental health and my like just performance overall.
That was great, Jaylee. You want to follow up, and then I'll give my thoughts as well.
Yeah, Anthony brought up a great point. That's something that I actually went through a period in high school where I lost 60 pounds in 4 months, not in the most healthiest way. And to piggyback off of what he said, my performance dropped with it. And like some advice I would give myself is to not let anybody else's comments about my body like doesn't equate or compare to the amount of gratitude that I feel. Because I did win a state championship before I went through that period of time where I did lose weight. So I would just tell her, hey, the compliments aren't going to get you success. How you feel, how you're performing, like that gratitude and that sense of accomplishment from success is going to overweigh any feeling that you have about your body. Not to be proud of it. Like I used to not post like my I didn't post my state championship pictures because I didn't like the way my body looked, and I wish I had those moments to go back and celebrate and be comfortable taking those pictures. So just to appreciate the success more than how you look, because how I felt was so much greater than how I felt I looked, and
Mm.
I just wish I took the time to be more thankful for being in that moment and accomplishing such like great feats.
Yeah, you both shared so many good points. So, I'm a former athlete, played soccer my whole life, and y'all bring up a great point. And I spoke with Colleen, the sports nutritionist, on at Maryland's campus, and talking about like what your body can do for you and not how it looks, and that is such a piece that I was able to have a great supportive nutrition staff at Ole Miss as well, but your performance, like you said, like we work so hard for that, and that's the piece that we should be focusing on, and how our body allows us to do those great amazing things. Like you won that championship because your body allowed you to do that, because you're properly fueling and seeking whatever resources that you needed. And that's what's so amazing about our bodies, is that we can do so many cool things. So thank you both for sharing that. Anthony, I'm gonna go off, go a little off topic a little bit, but what do you think allows you to make that adjustment or shift between, hey, I'm focusing on like how I look in this video versus like I really want to focus on my performance?
I feel like my support group did a good job with that. Like they pretty much told me that I need to focus on like pretty much what I know, and like just not like focus on the crowd around us, and pretty much like how I look isn't really important. If I'm succeeding, that's what really matters. Like my performance is the most important, and like how I look doesn't really matter in the big picture.
Yeah,
So I feel like having a good support group is probably the most important when it comes to like helping people in that like way.
that's awesome. Jayla, what's your follow-up with that? Where
Um,
the shifts come in?
when the shifts come in, I think it's just finding a balance and finding your people, because all along I had people telling me your body's beautiful, your body's beautiful, and that was very crucial in me finally believing it, but also kind of having that balancing act of knowing that if I do the right things for my body, it'll produce the right things for me, therefore bettering like my mental health, how I view myself, how I'm experiencing in my sport. So I think that shift is just finding balance and giving yourself grace, if like, because everybody wakes up one day and has something about themselves that there's it's not their favorite thing about themselves. So like be gracious with yourself and know that you're like my body's beautiful. Take that shift to find the balance of like, hey, like there's things I can improve on and work on, but also know that my body is capable of so many more things than I give it credit for.
Hmm. You both are so y'all are just, this is touching my heart, because I'm feel comfortable to share that I definitely struggled with body acceptance and disordered eating habits when I was a student athlete. And there I was luckily able to see a sports psychologist, see a sports nutritionist, to really dive in deeper and like seek the resources that I needed in order to peak performance, but also just be happy on the inside before I was happy on the outside. So I, again, just really appreciate you both being so open to share about those things. So for the next question, y'all talked about support. So I'm gonna ask you, how do you think your coaches, staff, or family and friends, or whoever, can support student athletes who struggle with body acceptance?
For me personally, I work very closely with our sports psychologist and our nutritionist here at Maryland, and it's something that I hadn't had before. But one thing that has been different that I've noticed that they've put the extra effort in is not saying necessarily that I have to meet them at a place, but meeting me someplace. It's a team effort, and knowing that I have to give some of myself and they're giving some to me. So I think working with them in a manner that it doesn't feel like I have to reach these outstanding goals, and they're meeting me where I'm at, not making me feel like I have to walk a mile to get to them to be in a better place. And I think that's where I've made the most progress over just the short year that I've been here. I went from not eating like at all at very times, thinking this way about my body, to like having them help along the way with little goals and not making my goals so big. So in retrospect, I look back and like all those little goals I've been meeting have turned into a huge change in how I look at myself and how my eating habits are. So it's probably something like the best way that they can help us.
Yeah.
I feel like my coaches do a pretty good job of supporting us. One thing they do that I find like really helpful is like the constant reminder that we have support, and they always tell us like we can go to our teammates are always there, our coaches are always there, and the sports psychologist. And I feel like a lot of like they have to tell us that stuff. But one thing I feel like a lot of the staff does is they don't say it as if they're reading a script. They say it like it's I feel like it's all genuine, and they say like if you need anything, we're here for you. We're a family, And just the constant reminder does a lot of help to people. Just knowing that like you have the option does a lot.
Yeah, Anthony, I'm so glad that you can feel the like sincereness of the staff because like I mean I'm on staff too in student athlete development, but like when we tell you guys that we really are here for you, I'm glad that you can feel that because we just want you to leave this university better than you came, but also say that that was the best 4 or 5 or 6 years or however long you're a part of the family. That you were able to have the best experience that you possibly could. So I'm super happy that you both have support. And Jayla, I'm glad that you've been able to utilize the resources to make, you know, such amazing strides in all of these different topics. So thank you both again. So do either of you think that there are any ways that we can create safer spaces for student athletes to discuss things that they're struggling with in this specific topic?
I think kind of I think Maryland, I compared because I come from another institution, so like Maryland, my perspective on Maryland may be different from somebody where it's like all they've known. But for me, just the willingness to like just like things like regarding like mental health to destigmatize it and to understand that like it not only just affects women athletes, but opens up that outlet for male athletes and any other athletes who necessarily like may not fit the script. I think track and field is a really good example of a sport that encompasses a lot of that because we all support each other in knowing that we all go through different body types. I sometimes like at my old school, like I look at a distance runner and I just know that like just realizing that no matter because our body's different, that we all can relate like under a certain umbrella. And so I think that's very important in creating spaces. And I feel like Maryland does a good job of um, bringing that to light and creating open spaces for us to kind of have that outlet to talk about it.
I agree with that. I feel like they do a really good job here of like giving the option to like speak up to someone without feeling like judgment. Like Jayla said, like the stigma that like men can't really like speak out. I feel
Mhm.
like there's like it's known here, like it's talked about that people are allowed to like speak up without the risk of being judged or anything, just because the stereotype that you have to be like perfect all the time.
I'm glad that our resources on campus have been able to support you both. And for any student athletes listening, I mean, you guys are like y'all are creating the space now, being able and being having the courage and just vulnerability to talk about this. I just want you both to be proud of yourselves to know that like you're both making such a great step in the right direction of making every space a more inclusive space to talk about things that we struggle with and destigmatize it, like you were saying, Jayla. So thank you both. And those are all great advice to your younger self. I relate to so many things that you all said, because like you said, whether you're male or female or whatever identity that you identify with, or sports, ages, genders, races, all these things, like we can all relate on certain topics. So thank you both for bringing those up. All right, so we're going to do a little activity with some body positivity affirmations from the National Eating Disorder Association. So first, I'm going to start with Jayla, and you can share it whenever you are ready.
Alrighty, my affirmation is I will treat my body with respect and kindness, trust my body's wisdom and honor its needs, challenge weight bias and celebrate body diversity.
And my affirmation is I am worthy of taking up space, not defined by my weight, shape, or size, learning to accept my body as it is.
Thank you both for sharing. So I again appreciate you guys being so vulnerable and whatnot this conversation, but I want to speak towards the student athletes and to you guys as well, that to all student athletes listening, I want to share a few resources. So the Maryland Made Sports Dietitians are always available for individual nutrition consults where student athletes may disclose information about concerns and topics around body acceptance and body positivity. They also work in conjunction with the mental health providers, and if consent is given to the student athlete, they can provide a more comprehensive care. In addition, the BAM, so BAM, is the University of Maryland's Body Appreciation Movement. It's a group-based structured intervention intended to raise awareness and promote body acceptance and appreciation in collegiate athletes. So if you're interested, please contact anyone from the sports nutrition staff or sports psychology staff. All right, y'all. So we're gonna wrap up the episode by doing a little rapid fire of this or that, basically. So I'm gonna ask you this or that, and then you just answer. So we'll start with Jayla first. So you're going Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Anthony?
Hulu, 100%.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay, 50-50. All right, y'all, beach or cabin?
Mm. The Midwestern in me wants to say cabin because I like the cold, but honestly, it's the beach.
I agree. Definitely the beach.
It's about to start getting cold here. I'm not ready. I'm like, bring back the warm weather. But the final one is so beat. So overhead headphones or AirPods?
Beats. The overhead experience is unmatched.
Right now, AirPods, but my ear's getting cauliflowered up, so I might have to go to Beats.
Those are all valid. I think they're valid. Y'all are so fun, whatever. But anyways, just a closing. So thank you both for participating in such a great conversation today and having courage to speak towards things that student athletes may be struggling with. But before we wrap up, can you please share with our listeners how they can follow you with updates, reach out to you, or connect more? So your Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter, whatever you want to share. Jayla, we can start with you.
Alrighty, I'm pretty much easy to find. Reach me. Instagram's probably the easiest. It's just my name, Jayll, and then 5 A's. And just a quick note, I'm always open. Just know every athlete, it's always mind over medal. So how you feel is not comparative to how you perform. And so like, let's just take care of that. Let's take care of each other. Let's take care of ourselves.
And mine is probably Instagram too. It's Anthony._.Bradley77. And yeah, Instagram's probably where you should contact me on. And mental health is just as important as physical health, if not more important. And I'd say that if you're not mentally right, you won't be right physically either. So definitely pay attention to your mental health too.
Great. So thank you both again. And for anyone listening, for all of our Maryland Made updates, please reach out to us and look on our social media. So our Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter at MD Made Terps. I hope you both have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.